Hi everyone, this is Heather. Thanks so much for joining me. Today I've got a card tutorial for you and we're going to be making a couple of cute cat and dog cards for Christmas. Today I'm doing one of my favorite things to do, and that is mix and match my stamp sets and also to use some stamps that weren't intended for a certain occasion or holiday and make them for a holiday. So I'm combining 3 different stamp sets from My Favorite Things. The first is Holiday Penguins. This is one of their newer releases for Christmas. And I'm also using the Cat-astrophe and Wolf Pack stamp sets from My Favorite Things. I'm going to be using one of the cats and one of the dogs. For the cat card, I have a red cardstock base, 8.5 by 11, cut, score, folded it in half. I've dug through my stash and found some pretty plaid paper with gray and white and red. This has been cut to 5 1/4 by 4. And I also have some white and red cardstock for the wavy band across the center. For the dog card, I have a green cardstock base, some more pattern paper that's 5 1/4 by 4. With some colorful polka dots on it, a strip of green that's been cut to 2 3/4 by 6 1/2, and a strip of white that's 2 by 6 1/2. And using black memento ink, I've stamped the cat and the dog, 2 trees, 2 individual ornaments, and 2 stars for the tops of the trees. For the wavy band on the cat card, I'm using a stitched hillside die from a Muse Studio, and I want the wave to reflect each other on the top and the bottom. So what I did was kind of make myself a little bit of a guide with my repositionable tape. So what I'm going to do is place my tape right along the edge of my cardstock, butt that up against the edge, and then do the same over here on the left-hand side. And I'm going to run that through my die cutting machine. Now that it's run through the die cut machine, I'm going to carefully remove the tape from the cardstock, and I'm going to leave the tape attached to the die. I'm going to take my ruler and I'm going to measure down about 1.5 inches and make a little tick mark with my pencil. I'm going to do that on both sides, and I'm going to align that tick mark at the top of the die and align my washi tape again at the side of the cardstock. I'm going to do the same over here, and that will help me keep a consistent curve. And I'm going to run that through my die cutting machine. Once again, I'm going to carefully remove the die. And I think I forgot to mention that the white and red pieces that I'm wavy cutting are the same width as my pattern paper. And now I've got that wave. I want my red wave to be approximately 2 3/4 inches. I'm going to make a little tick mark here. I'm going to use that as my guide. Again, lining up the edge of that tape along the edge of the cardstock. I do the same thing on the other side and run that through my die cutting machine. And again, I'm going to very carefully remove the tape on the die. This time I'm going to measure down about 2 3/4 and make a little tick mark. Do the same on the other side. And again, use that as a guide to tape my die in place. And I'm ready to do some heat embossing. On the top of my green panel on the left-hand side and the top of my red on the right-hand side, I'm going to use my powder tool just to make sure I don't have any static on my cardstock. I've inked up the A Holiday Treat for You word set in clear Versamark ink. I'm going to stamp that close to the top edge of that green piece and pour over some white embossing powder. For the You Make Everyday Jolly sentiment, I've kind of curved the stamp. I know it's clear on clear, it might be a little hard to see, but I've kind of curved the stamp to match the curve of the red paper. And I'm going to stamp that along the stitched edge on the red cardstock, and also pour on white embossing powder. And using my heat gun, I'm going to melt my embossing powder. And I love that bright white pop of the sentiments on that colored cardstock. I've gone ahead and adhered my pattern papers to my cardstock bases. I'm going to line up the white wave onto the red and adhere those together. And I'm going to do the same with the green. I've applied adhesive to the back, and this is ready to go ahead and adhere to my card. I'm going to have it up a little bit higher than halfway. So I'm ready to put the green down, and this one is quite a bit easier. So if you don't have any fancy curved dies and you just want a diagonal, this is a lot simpler. So just kind of angle your piece where you would like it on your card. Just make sure that your entire sentiment is going to show, not going to trim it off on the side. Flip it over and with your pencil, draw some lines and then line these lines up in your paper trimmer and cut through both pieces. And with this trimmed off at an angle, I'm ready to adhere that to my card. To color my images, I'm going to be using my favorite tri-blend markers. These are markers that have the same color with 3 different shades in a single marker. I've got a lot of videos about these on my channel if you'd like to check them out. I'm coloring my cat with the ice gray blend, and I want to do a bit of a tuxedo cat. So I'm leaving a white space open on the face. Just kind of doing a curve on either side. I'm going to leave the little paws white. I'm going to take that curve down on the leg. And also kind of leave the belly and all the paws white. Once I've kind of sketched out that design in the lighter shade, I'm going to use the darkest shade around the edges for some shading and shadowing. Again, I am avoiding those white areas. Then I'm going to move on to the middle tone, and I'm going to overcolor between the lightest and the darkest. And I am using a combination of the brush markers and the original bullet tip today, and this happens to be a brush marker. And then I'm going back in with that lightest shade. I'm going to blend all 3 of those colors together. There is kind of a big difference on these particular shades on the ice gray blend, so I really need to get in and make sure that those blend out nicely. With the body of the cat colored in, I'm moving on to the pale pink blend. I'm going to completely fill in the ears and the nose. I'm going to add a little bit of the darker pink and a little bit with the medium. And with the darkest shade again, I'm going to go in and give my cat some cute little cheeks. For the Christmas tree, I'm using the light green blend marker. I'm going to completely fill in the tree, kind of avoiding the ornaments as best I can. With the entire tree filled in with that lightest shade, I'm going in with the medium shade, and down the left-hand side of the tree, I'm going to make some light strokes with the brush. So it's kind of thicker and thinner as I flick it down the tree. I kind of go in the opposite direction, down the right side of the tree. And then I'm going to do the same thing with the darkest shade. Give some little flick marks, and that gives that nice realistic look to the branches of the tree. For the ornaments on my tree, I'm going to be using the dark red blend marker. I'm starting out with the lightest shade, filling in those ornaments, as well as the individual ornament. And then using the darkest shade, I'm going to add just a little bit of a shadow around each of those ornaments. For the star on the tree, I'm going to be using the darkest shade of light yellow. And for the tree trunk, I'm going to be using red-brown blend. And I've used all 3 shades for the tree trunk. As you can see, I've gone ahead and colored in the tree, the ornaments, and the star on the dog section, just like I did with the cat section. I'm using the same red-brown blend that I used for the tree trunk to fill in for the dog. I've gone ahead and used that same red that I used on the ornaments for the dog's collar. Then I'm moving on to the darkest shade of the red-brown for shading and shadowing on my dog. I'm going to overcolor with the medium shade. And then I'm going to blend all that in with the lightest shade. And next for my dog spots, I'm using Gold Brown Blend. I've gone ahead and filled in with the lightest shade. I'm going to add some shading and shadowing with the darker. Add the medium tone in between. And then blend all that in together with the lightest shade. And to finish off my dog, I've used the Pale Pink Blend for his nose, tongue, and cheek. I don't have the die cutting sets for any of these stamps, so I'm just going to be using my scissors. I'm going to cut everything out and leave a little bit of a white border. I've cut out all my images and I've adhered the stars to the top of the trees, and I've placed foam tape on the back of all my images. I'm going to place the tree on the dog card to the right hand side and add the little dog next to the tree. Next, I'm putting the individual ornament in place so it kind of looks like the little dog is holding it. Place the tree on the right hand side of the cat card. Then place the cat to the right and also place the ornament here. And depending on if your pets are naughty or nice, they're either knocking the ornaments off the tree or they're helping to decorate the tree. To finish off the cards, I wanted to add a little bit of sparkle, so I'm taking some clear Stickles glitter glue and I'm going to apply that to all the ornaments, including the one that the animals are holding and the star on the top of the tree. I'm going to do that on both cards. There's also a little bit of garland across the tree. So I'm going to take my silver Stickles glitter glue and just kind of follow along those lines and add a really thin line of that silver. And I hope you can see that on camera, but I just love that little bit of sparkle that added. And here's our finished cards. I think these are really cute to send out to friends and families during the holiday if they have a dog or a cat or they're just an animal lover. I really like the white embossing on the dark cardstock. I think it helps it really pop. And you can create your own kind of wavy background if you have some dies, or if you want something easier, you can just use a simple diagonal. I hope you enjoyed this card tutorial. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Be sure to check out my channel and subscribe, and I hope you have a holly jolly day. Bye!